What's good, y'all? It's your guy Makai. Welcome back to my channel. Make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure if you're new to hit that subscribe button because I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers and every subscriber helps. And today we're going to be talking about what I personally think the Philadelphia 76ers should do in this offseason and in the coming season. So what does Philly have? Let's look at what they got. They got a great, future, franchise player in Ben Simmons. They got one of the best centers, if not the best center in the league, in Joel Embiid. They overpaying Al Horford. They're overpaying Tobias Harris. They got Josh Richardson. And then, the bench is a little suspect, but I don't want to get into all of that. And, eventually down the road, Philly is going to have to come to a decision between Joel and Ben. Because it's like, you see how they play together, and it's not, don't get me wrong, they're a good team, but it's just that, are they really, going to seriously contend for a championship? Seriously, anytime in the near future, Philly fans, be honest with yourselves. Do y'all see them competing with, let's say, the Clippers, the Warriors, the Mavericks, the Lakers? Do y'all see them contending with any, not contending, do y'all see them competing with any of those teams in the near future? Seriously. Exactly, you don't. Just be honest. And don't comment oh, no, no. Keep it a buck with yourself. What they need to do is really just trade Joel Embiid. And I know. I don't need y'all coming in the comments and saying, oh, you tripping? Ben and Joel need to stay together forever. They want to play with each other. Yeah. But you got to realize, as long as Ben Simmons cannot shoot, Joel Embiid is never going to be able to really reach that next level. Because it's when you have a guy who needs the ball in his hand to be effective, he's only effective when he has the ball in his hand. He can't stand around and shoot. Even a mid-range jump shot, he can cut, but everybody knows he's going to the paint, so it's easy to defend. Joel Embiid's the best thing about Joel Embiid's game, he's very, very strong and big, and his post game is amazing. He has a lot of great footwork around the rim, a soft touch around the basket, and everybody knows that Joel Embiid is one of the best post scorers in the NBA. How can he go to the post if Ben Simmons' man can just come double him whenever they want, or a team can figure out a scheme to where Ben is covered on the on the cut, and they can leave their man. It's never gonna work. And when you ask who's better between the two, obviously Joel Embiid is the better player. But you gotta realize Ben Simmons is about 24 years old. Joel Embiid is older than Ben Simmons. I'm not sure exactly how old he is, but I know he's not in his 30s yet. But you gotta look at the injury history, man. And I know Ben Simmons has an injury history, but I'd much rather build around a 6'10" point guard who plays impeccable defense and has amazing passing than a big guy who, he does prototypical big guy stuff. Post game, he can stretch the floor. I'm not underselling Joel Embiid, but I'd much rather have Ben Simmons for the future. Joel Embiid came into the league with bad legs. He got a bad back. I feel like he's always injured for some reason. He's always just out. And arguably you can say the same thing for Ben Simmons, but when it all comes down to it, I'm rocking with Ben Simmons. And do I think they should, explore a trade for Joel Embiid this season? Not necessarily, because look, what could you possibly get for Joel Embiid right now? You can get something. Joel Embiid has a lot of value. It just depends who's willing to give up that value. I was looking at some trades, earlier, researching, and I'm looking and I'm like, Golden State is a very, very interesting trade partner for Philly. Because look, what has been Golden State's problem throughout the whole dynasty, throughout their whole, time being successful? They've never had an elite big man who can defend very well. They've never had that. They had Andrew Bogut, Zaza Pachulia, JaVale McGee, Kevon Looney. They've had centers, but they've never had elite centers, or even all-star centers. They've never had somebody at the 5 position who was really a standout player. And it's Golden State has the number 2 pick. They got Andrew Wiggins. They have Minnesota's pick next year. They have a lot of salary guys. They have a lot of young guys. They got Eric Pascal. You can send him to Philly. So a trade package that, could be worked up for Joel Embiid, that number 2 pick, Minnesota's pick, Andrew Wiggins because of the salary stuff, and throw in Eric Pascal for, some extra depth on Philly. But am I saying they should do that this season, or am I even saying they should do that at all? Because I don't know if Golden State would do something like that. I don't know if Philly would do something like that. It's just an idea I'm throwing out into the world. But yeah, what do I think they should do this season? They got a new head coach. They got Doc Rivers. Oh, they hired Daryl Morey. Daryl Morey is a great offensive mind. Say what you want about Daryl Morey, but wherever he goes, they win. In Houston, I think he had about what, I don't know his win percentage, but he won a lot of games in Houston. Him and James Harden were, a great tandem. Not saying it like he's a coach, but he is an analytical guy. He says, shoot more 3-pointers. 10 3-pointers is worth more than 10 2-pointers. That's his whole philosophy. And it's not a bad philosophy, but it's just that when the threes don't fall, what do you do? What can you do? But yeah, I'm really excited to see what Daryl Morey, tells Doc Rivers or suggests Doc Rivers do with that new system. I don't know, with those new players in Philly. I'm very excited to see, how Ben Simmons somehow benefits in this situation, because you would think that they would be looking for a trade for Ben Simmons. And that was a report that came out when Doc Rivers first went to Philly. There was, a report saying, oh, Doc wants to trade Ben Simmons because he can't shoot and, things like that. But Doc Rivers is very excited to coach the duo of Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, because they are a great duo, don't get me wrong, but it's just that I don't think they're going to really be competing for a championship anytime soon. But what's their ceiling, I think, for this season? I think they can go to maybe the second round and maybe possibly the conference finals. And I know this season was a wash. I know it was a terribly disappointing season. Ben Simmons was injured, but honestly, were they doing anything with Ben Simmons anyway? No. And I'm just wondering, how much more of this can Joel Embiid take? Ben Simmons is, he's going to be just fine. He's a young guy. He just came into the league. But Joel Embiid is seeing, year after year, he's getting bounced out the playoffs. He's not reaching any, finals. He's not competing for championships. At one point, does he say, I've had enough of this. I'm not doing this anymore. This isn't fun for me. At one point, does he say that? Does he ever ask for a trade? I'm not sure, but if I'm Joel Embiid and we still getting, our butts kicked in the playoffs as usual, I'm exploring looking at that for, a trade, because I'm not going to be wasting my prime. That's what's wrong with players. They always insist on wasting their primes because of loyalty. I don't believe in loyalty in the NBA, because the owners will trade you as fast as you can leave in free agency. But yeah, what's my final verdict on the Philadelphia 76ers? I say they give this, whole Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid a couple more years, because, these guys are young. I want to see if, Ben Simmons can develop a jump shot. I want to see if he can develop. I don't want him to become, 7 threes a night guy. I'm just saying, can he develop, a respectable mid-range or something? Can you imagine what Ben Simmons having a jump shot would do for his game? Because you gotta realize, if he can shoot, that means they, defenses can't back up on him, because then he's gonna light him up with his left hand. But if he can shoot, imagine, what it can unlock with Doc Rivers and Daryl Morey, at the helm. Imagine what it could do for them competing in the future. I don't want to say Ben Simmons is holding him back, because he's a young guy, like I said earlier. He's 24. But if he can just develop a jump shot, everything would change. They would become second behind. They might become first on my list behind in front of the Nets. Cause let's say in 2-3 years, Ben Simmons, not magically, he's gonna put in a lot of work, but let's say he develops a jump shot. Can you imagine what a healthy Ben Simmons and a healthy Joel Embiid can do when Ben Simmons gets a jump shot? I see him averaging 26 and 10 if he gets a jump shot. But that's if. And like I said in my previous videos with Giannis, these guys are young. You got to give them time. Remember, LeBron didn't used to be able to shoot. At one point, Magic Johnson couldn't shoot at all. You have to give guys time to develop. And I think, I didn't finish my final verdict. My final verdict on the Philadelphia 76ers this season, they need to just let Doc Rivers see what he can do, see what he can unlock, let Daryl Morey see what he can unlock in these two guys. And I say, before you really, really look at blowing it up, before you really, really look at, trading Joel or trading Ben, whatever they decide to do, give it 2-3 more years to see what happens. And if you're not trending upwards, if you're not really competing, then I'm going to have to say, look at blowing it up, because then it's just not going to be, a great situation. But yeah, if you stay to the end of this video, thank you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.